The Stage Door Show, celebrating the independent artist. Hosted by Dave Hondel.
Hey everybody, this is Dave Hondel. Welcome to The Stage Door tonight. My special guest is King Shampz. He's a hip-hop artist out of the Philly area, and we're going to bring him in right now. Hey Shampz, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Coming from Philly, man, there's like, this is a music-rich city. You got everybody from the past, like Hall & Oates, man, Chubby Checker, The Roots, all different genres, man. It's a huge city for music. So how does it feel, man, being in the hip-hop scene in such a music-rich city like Philly?
It's a lot to, uphold, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I feel like we're on task in doing that. Me and my brother Zon, we're running a record label, Dave Hondel Records, like you said, coming from such a rich history in Philadelphia where, it's a lot of legends that come out of this city when you talk about like the Men's, your Hall & Oates, your Jim Crochets, all of these guys are legendary in their own way. And, even on the hip hop side of things, when you talk about, the Rockefeller era really wouldn't have happened if you didn't have Philly in there, with like a Beanie Siegel, the whole state prop movement, Young Guns, all those guys. Even on the underground level, when you talk about a Gilly the Kid and Major Figures, it's a lot of rich history, not only in just music in general, but just the culture. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's something that kind of shines through in our music. So it's something to uphold for sure.
Yeah, I'm just down the street from you in South Jersey, and I'm only like 20 minutes from Philly, and I know the music scene is huge in this this whole metro area, and especially downtown Philly. So that's pretty impressive company that you're in. The other thing is during the quarantine, obviously, Philly, it was pretty hard hit, as New York and New Jersey were as well, and so everybody's kind of quarantined to their home. So what have you been doing music-wise while you've been on quarantine, so to speak? Have you been working on writing music, or what have you been doing on as far as projects go?
To tell you the truth, I've been catching up on a lot of different writing. I've been catching up on a lot of, media, just making sure that I'm getting the Dead Wrong name out there. That's why I'm glad that we're on here, tonight, spreading, Dead Wrong Records and everything. And I've just really been focused on writing new music and promoting. This quarantine, I feel that, a lot of people are looking at the negatives of it, and it's everybody needs to stay home and stay safe and make sure that they're out of the way if they have any underlying issues. But, I've really just been focusing in on promoting music because I know that at this point in time, everybody is home. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like if you're going to be into guerrilla marketing like I am, and I believe that that's like the only way when you're like an independent artist really trying to catch as many people as possible, you kind of got to get on those Twitter streets and those Facebook avenues, you know what I mean, of those Instagram corners. You got to get out there, you have to network, you have to talk to people, you have to sing your music around, you got to get with that. And that's something I've already been doing, but I feel like with this quarantine, I'm looking to make more of a positive instead of a negative situation with it. So instead of, complaining like, oh, I'm stuck in the house, I can't do this, I can't do that, I'm like, hey, I can knock this project out, I can work on this song, I can work on this hook. If it's an idea that needs tweaking, let me work on that. And, just get the music out to as many people as possible. So I've just really been trying to stay, just staying productive, during this quarantine for sure.
Yeah, I think, it's really no excuse right now if you're creative to not be creative when you're stuck in the house. I mean, yeah, that's definitely something that, I think a lot of people have projects that were almost done. Now they can finish those projects. So talk about some of the projects and some of the singles that our listeners can go on the streaming and hear or now or maybe in the near future.
Oh, for sure. Well, you can go to my SoundCloud page. It's Dead Wrong Records, the title Dead Wrong Records. We've got a slew of singles on there. Just a couple of months ago, we ran a campaign where we were dropping a single every Tuesday, and it was basically Damn on Tuesdays, and we were dropping all new material, whether it was a freestyle or music to touch on it. But my brother Azan, my blood brother Azan, is the main producer for Damn on Records. He creates all of our music, all of our tracks, and we just were sitting there. We was like, wow, we're seeing a lot of guys dropping music and this and the third. How can we separate from the pack? So we just kind of started dropping a slew of singles on Tuesday, and some of those are some of my favorites. I Can't Get Enough. That's a dope song. Half a Brick is a dope song. Dark Leather is a dope song. Me and him did a song together. Matter of fact, 2 songs together because he raps as well. One's called The French Connection, and the other one is called Money and Loretto. And we just dropped a slew of singles, man.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I was going to ask you too. I mean, in the hip hop community, I know that there's some artists that will write music, like, I don't know, several in a week, and then there'll be some that will kind of hold on to music because it's one that kind of has to wait, for the right time to put it out. So, what is your outlook on that kind of release dates and release times for your music, because it's hard to saturate the market with your music, but at the same time, you might have that one or two, right, that you might want to hold on to for whatever reason.
I feel that everything is timing and placement, so I can definitely see where you're coming from as far as you being an artist and saying, these songs that I have in the cut I feel as an artist could do a lot better for me than some freestyles or some features or whatever the case may be. But even then, you have to be able to look at when other artists are dropping. You have to look at all the particulars as far as, okay, well, this single fits this sort of kind of demographic in hip-hop, where it may have more of a trap sound. This single may have more of a traditional boom-bap kind of sound. So you have to pick your spots and know that the timing of the single has to make sense. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to drop, I feel, as an independent artist during a day where it may be 6 or 7 hip-hop albums coming out, because your song or your project could be overshadowed by that. I feel that you have to make sure that you know when guys are dropping and say, hey, it's 3 albums today, and my music sounds similar to those guys. It may not be lyric for lyric or beat for beat, but we have similarities. Then I say, as an artist, you need to go in ahead and drop it then. Because what I like to do is I like to get on like a Twitter or an Instagram, whatever the case may be, and kind of go fishing for those kinds of fans of that kind of music and say, well, hey, if you like this, I'm pretty sure that you'll love this. You know what I'm saying? And more often than not, I've had success with that. You know what I'm saying? From, like-minded hip-hop fans that may like, Nas or Jay-Z, and he's dropping, or, you got different guys on the underground scene like a West Side Gun or, Freddie Gibbs and all of these guys. I'll look and say, okay, these guys are dropping. Let me see if I can target some of these guys that are listening to them, because we have similar kind of music. So I feel like to go back, I hope I'm not running a marathon on you, running a sprint here, but I feel that when you're an artist, timing is everything.
Yeah, there's one thing I wanted to ask. You said something important earlier, and I wanted to kind of expand on that a little bit. But you said that, you look for, there's musicians that have a similar sound, and you don't want to put it out maybe at that time. But at the same time, that's important, because what sets you apart from those other musicians that might have a similar sound, that's going to make me want to listen to your music over theirs?
Okay. If we're looking at the entire hip-hop community, everybody has their influences. You know what I'm saying? Some of my biggest influences are like Nas, Biggie, Jay-Z, Tupac, Mobb Deep, the Wu-Tang Clan. The list goes on and on. So I'm definitely heavily influenced by that. I'm heavily influenced by their lyricism. That's something that I pride myself on. Just like on Half a Brick, it's kind of a song where I'm just running for 2 minutes, just straight 2 minutes is just bars, just 2 minutes is just straight raps, just lyrics, you know what I mean, hard-hitting lyrics and stuff that, you know, you can feel if you're a hip-hop head or you're somebody that grew up in a certain kind of environment like I did, you know what I mean? You grew up in, you know, the ghetto, you grew up in the streets, you know, you see a lot of different things, you experience a lot of different things, and that's something I tried to capture like on a Half a Brick or I Can't Get Enough. So I feel like the thing that separates our music at Dave Hondel Records is, sure, it has those major influences, but we rap it differently. We talk about it differently. We have a different voice where it can still have the same subject matter, but it's coming more from a place of truth. I feel like some artists, I'm not saying those artists, a lot of artists are not writing their life's work, if that makes any sense. I feel like it's nothing that's authentic. I feel like it's more of a movie scene rather than a biopic. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like you look at a biopic, it's like the story of Robert De Niro or whoever. You know what I mean? Like whoever the biopic's on, it's an authentic thing. This is their story. And then I feel like you have other guys that make more Jurassic Park music where we don't see any fucking dinosaurs run down the street. You know what I'm saying? We don't. But it's good entertainment. It's something that we can sit and watch and imagine. But I feel like the difference is our music is really authentic, and we're able to blend different styles of music.
Flying in the summer, Junior influence under chilling in a parachute Hummer. Make history, I'm riding off momentum. I'm rolling my own wave, thoughts is concave. I'm the only man made. Man, I turn a nigga ghost. Yeah, I turn a nigga ghost. When the beef is on, I turn a nigga black ghost.
Not only are we, you know, influenced by a Nas, a Jay-Z, a Big, a Tupac, Wu-Tang Clan, list goes on, but we're huge on other forms of music, you know, Jimi Hendrix, Miles Davis, you know, I'm a huge Led Zeppelin fan, Pearl Jam fan, you know, Nirvana. I listen to like everything, you know what I'm saying? Duke Ellington, listen to all of these different styles. So reggae music, you know what I mean? I listen to everything. So I incorporate different styles into my music, so it's definitely something different for sure.
Now, you know, growing up in the East Coast, being in Philly, I mean, how important is like the hip hop history to you? Like, you know, a Tribe Called Quest and, you know, Run DMC and, you know, some of the African Boombata, you know, some of those really important people that came up in hip hop back in, you know, maybe New York and the Bronx and, you know, house parties and, you know, because back then obviously there wasn't social media, there wasn't anything to really kind of push their music out to the masses, and they kind of did it more underground, like you mentioned earlier about the underground scene. So how important is the history to hip hop, and do you think that artists nowadays really you know, kind of honor that, basically the history when it first started? I mean, how important is that history to your craft and what you do?
I mean, it pushes me. You know, it's very important. It's something that I feel in order for you to go forward, you have to look back and know about what came before you. You know what I'm saying? I feel like, and I hate to say this, but I'm going to be truthful. In hip-hop, I feel like it's a lack of respect for those legends that you talk about, from like a Run DMC. You wouldn't have hardcore street rap without a Run DMC. Everything was more like party raps, like house raps, you know. It wasn't any like serious content. Or you look at Melly Mel and, you know, Grandmaster Caz and all of these different guys. These guys changed the scope for hip-hop today. Kool Herc created hip-hop, and you never, ever really hear his name. You know what I'm saying? Whereas if you look in other genres, I feel like a Eddie Vedder gets his respect as a vocalist. Jimmy Page gets his respect as a guitarist. These guys get their respect, Jeff Beck, whoever. These guys get their respect in their respective fields, and I feel like in hip-hop, that's something that's missing. You know what I'm saying? Not saying that all hip-hop artists don't look at what came before them and respect it and honor it, but it's a majority for sure. And just speaking for what we're trying to do here at Dead Wrong Records, we pay homage to those guys. It's funny that you see in Run DMC because on one of our singles, Dark Leather, that's actually our cover art, like a picture of Run DMC. You know what I'm saying? Like, we felt those were like real flashy dudes. You know what I'm saying? They was real fly guys for the time. They brought like that fashion and that style, and they showed like where the streets was at during that time. You know what I'm saying? So with Dark Leather, it's that same kind of feel. It's a flashy kind of track, you know what I'm saying? It's a lyrical track, and it's got those trap elements in it where you got different hi-hats and different shit that's going on in the beat, but we stand on course. We keeping it slick, we keeping it dope, and those guys are influences, man. So it's nothing but respect to those guys. You know what I mean? Like, Tribe Called Quest is one of the most influential groups of all time, simply because of Q-Tip's ability to make crazy, in-depth production where it was really clear. You know what I'm saying? Like, his production was sharp at one point, and him and Fife going back and forth on the track. The same thing with Mobb Deep, with Prodigy and Havoc. Like, the things that they were able to create was magical. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like we, as people that are in hip-hop, whether you're an artist or a podcaster or whatever the case may be, it has to be a little bit more respect for those guys that came before. So to answer the question, it's very strong, like to uphold that kind of legacy and that respect and the importance of those guys that come before us.
Yeah, and that's well said. I mean, it really is, because I think no matter what genre of music you're talking about, if you don't pay respect to those that came before you, you're not learning. You have to learn. It's almost like learning history, right? In school, you need to learn the history of the genre that you're performing, I think, personally. So and it sounds like you guys definitely do that. The one thing I wanted to ask you too, what is your message? If you were going to tell our listeners what you're trying to convey in a broad term, what is the message you want to get across in your music? What is the message you want to get across in your music?
That's a great question. I feel like what I'm trying to go in and get and convey is that, first and foremost, that lyricism isn't dead. That that skill set isn't gone. You know what I'm saying? I feel like a lot of artists have kind of left that to the wayside for more of like catchy hooks and melodies and shit, which is cool. You have to have that, but you also want to have variety. You know what I'm saying? If me and you decided to go to a bar and drink the same beer the entire night, one of us is going to get pretty pissed off. You know what I'm saying? I can't just sit there and drink the same beer all night. You know what I mean? Or eat chicken for a week. You know what I'm saying? Like every day, a different form of chicken. So you have to have some kind of variety. And I feel like that's something that we showcase, is bringing back those days of lyricism. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that's something lost. Another thing I want to convey in my music, and I feel is most important, is that I feel like the culture has shifted to more of hip-hop blending in with R&B, hip-hop blending in more with rock, which are all great genres. As I mentioned before, I'm a huge rock fan and R&B fan. So I respect that genre. But hip-hop comes from the streets. You know what I'm saying? It comes from what's still going on. It's people still dealing with struggles in the inner city.
I'm not a pimp, I'm a player, rockin' hoes like I'm a Deus, getting money by the layers, steady shitting on the haters. I'm a cash anticipator, rockin' different color gators. I keep that 40 by the waistline for niggas who wanna be takers. It's a cold game. Niggas be trying to do you dirty, gotta keep your eyes open if you gon' make it past 30. These niggas play for keeps. They don't wanna get theirs, they want yours. From your fresh clothes, your new whips, to your fly horse niggas plotting. They wanna leave you gone but not forgotten. Stiff and rotten, why they ride your wave, never even Panama stopping. Niggas is dropping, song after song, trying to create a buzz, but they can't fuck with their wrong. We bring the heat, from hardcore lyrics to dope beats. We make that thought-provoking music you can pump in your cheek. I never sleep, cause sleep is the cousin of...
You know what I'm saying? You have people that are still jail for life for some shit that they did do, some shit that they didn't do. You still have people getting killed consistently in the streets. You know what I'm saying? So I want to make sure that that is still being reported in some kind of way. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, this is something authentic, it's in your face. And that's what we kind of portray in our music. You know what I'm saying? Like I mentioned before, a half a brick, I can't get enough. One of the songs that probably really does that is Murder Art, you know, which is a song I dropped a couple years back, but it has like that violent and aggressive intensity that the streets give you. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that I want to go in ahead and capture. You know, you look at all of the guys that were like artists in different fields, like during the Harlem Renaissance, when you look at like, you know, Langston Hughes and all of these different guys that were like putting things together, Conte Cullen, guys that were like artists, they painted the picture of what was going on. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that I'm really like focused on as far as getting that across. Because it's like, no, this shit is like still real out here. You know what I'm saying? Everything is not daisies. Everything is not cool. And it's still a great form of entertainment, but which showcases the lyricism, showcases the skill set. But that's probably the main thing. It's like, it's still real out here. You know what I'm saying? It's still a lot going on. And I feel like hip-hop kind of lost that kind of voice. You know what I'm saying? And being from the home of gangster rap, Schoolie D is from West Philadelphia like I am, I feel like that's something that I have to carry forward. You know what I'm saying? So to answer the question, that's how I feel. I feel like bringing the skill set back and being able to convey that things is still real and you can provide that in an entertainment way, but it still needs to be provided.
No, it's well said. Definitely well said, and especially now with the pandemic going on. I mean, it even accentuates the problems that are already in the inner city going on, and it just makes it worse, that much worse. And I think too many people turn a blind eye to what's going on anyway, to what's going on. Then now it's even worse, right? So I think through the music, I think it's important. It's definitely important what you're doing. It's important work. I've always thought it's important work. Ever since I've been in the music business, it's important work. So, you know, keep doing what you're doing. And you guys, again, every artist that's doing it, even if it's a competitor or somebody that's doing the same, you know, going for the same audiences. I mean, it's all really a collective. You know, you're telling the right story. You're telling a story that needs to be told. And, you know, I look at it as the message for the greater good. So keep up with what you're doing. Another thing I want to tell everybody where your social media, how to find you on social media and any websites. You know, I want to make sure people can find you. So where would they go?
My Twitter at King Shampz. That's KINGSHAMPZ. The same thing on Instagram, KINGSHAMPZ. You can check us out on Dave Hondel Records and on SoundCloud. We've got a slew of tracks on there from not only our own tracks, but our artists. Shout out to Black and Caution. Those guys are coming up as well. They really have dope music. And hopefully we can bring them through the show sometimes. They sure as hell got a lot to share. But you can find me on Instagram at King Shampz as well as Twitter. And, you know, we're on SoundCloud. We have a couple of YouTube pages up as well, so you can look up Dave Hondel Records on there for some of the earlier material we dropped. Kings of Kings is on Amazon. You can go in ahead and pick that up. That's one of our first projects. You can go to Dat Piff, for my own solo mixtape, which was called All Hail the King. It did really well for us. That's on that Piff. You can look that up. And really just stay on my Twitter and Instagram, because I will be updating everybody with new music and just letting people know what's going on in my day-to-day life. So if you want to catch me on air, catch me on Twitter and Instagram at King Shampz. That's KingShampz.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you joining me tonight on the show, and I can't wait to hear new music out. So keep us updated on that. And so everybody listening, make sure you check out King Shampz on YouTube and all of his social media. And again, you're welcome on the show anytime. And again, thank you for joining me tonight. And I wish you nothing but the best. And please stay safe out there.
I appreciate you, brother. I really enjoyed this, and we can do this again, man. It was fun.